Sometimes you face a problem, a real barrier in your life, and it just seems, well, it seems mathematically impossible to solve.
It feels like a wall.
Exactly, a wall. And today we're doing a deep dive into one of the most powerful ancient narratives about exactly that, the story of Jericho. But we're looking at it from a very specific angle.
Right. We're not so much focused on the archaeology here. Our sources are really pushing us to analyze this as a story about strategy, but a strategy that turns conventional wisdom completely on its head.
A strategy driven by, of all things, trust.
That's the mission today. We synthesized a lot of material that zeroes in on this one claim, that this incredible military victory, as it's described, was designed specifically not to work through strength or tactics.
So it's about the power dynamics within the story itself.
Precisely. The whole idea is that the ending was, already written. The victory was a foregone conclusion, and everything that happens is about proving you believe that.
Which really forces the core question for this deep dive.
Right.
What do the sources say was the real source of this victory? I mean, if it wasn't swords and shields, what was it?
And the answer, according to the text we've analyzed, is just. It's completely unambiguous. It was faith, and it was obedience. Not a single mention of human strength being the deciding factor.
Okay, so let's unpack that, because that's a fascinating and, frankly, a strange way to frame a military conquest.
It is. What's so interesting is how the source material deals with the human element right from the start. It immediately tells you, the reader, that this victory isn't going to come from human effort.
It sort of preempts the question.
It does. It says the outcome was sealed by a divine declaration before a single soldier even started marching. It's a very unusual way to begin a war story, to say the least.
And that initial declaration has to color everything that follows, right? It changes the whole purpose of the battle. The source we have points to a specific verse, Joshua chapter 6, verse 2.
Yes. And the wording here is, well, it's everything.
It's the key.
It is. Our analysis spends a lot of time on the grammar, because there's this incredible tension in the verb tense. The declaration reads, "See, I have delivered Jericho into your hands."
Okay, stop there. That verb tense.
I want you, our listener, to really hear that. It's in the past tense. I have delivered.
Not I will deliver, not I'm going to help you deliver.
No, I have. It's already done.
Wow. That is a massive distinction. Think about that for a second. If you're a commander and you're told the city has already been given to you, what does that do to your planning?
Well, you're not spending your time scouting for weaknesses in the wall, are you? You're not running drills on siege tactics.
No, the whole point of your preparation just fundamentally shifts. You're no longer trying to figure out how to win.
You're just trying to figure out how to show up and collect.
Huh.
The actions that follow aren't about achieving victory anymore. They become a demonstration of your trust in that guarantee.
So the battle itself is just a formality.
A formality. An act of allegiance, you could say. Because the outcome was settled before anyone took a step.
So, even before the famous marching starts, the stage is set. The physical reality, no matter how intimidating, is already being framed as strategically irrelevant.
And that's the paradox, isn't it? This divine certainty clashing with just the staggering physical reality of the city itself.
It creates this friction, this need for a strategy that just makes no sense by human standards.
It has to, because if the ending is already written, then the path to get there must be one that tests whether you actually believe it when your eyes are screaming impossible.
And Jericho, from all the descriptions in these sources, was the very definition of impossible.
Architecturally, yes.
Which sets us up perfectly for our first scene.
Okay, scene one, establishing the fortress and, the impossibility.
Right, because you can't really grasp how bizarre the strategy is until you understand what they were looking at. The sources are so insistent on this point. Jericho wasn't just a city.
No, it's explicitly called a fortress. A structure built for one purpose, to be impenetrable. And this matters because, a lot of ancient cities, you could eventually wear them down. A long siege, starvation, find a weak gate.
But Jericho was different.
Jericho, according to these descriptions, was on another level entirely.
And this is where that one incredible detail comes in, the one that always sticks with me. The sources describe the walls as being so thick.
Get this. So thick that 2 chariots could race side by side on top of them.
Just pause and picture that. You, the listener, just visualize it. This isn't some thin curtain wall. This is a massive, elevated highway of stone.
And that one detail changes the entire military equation. It's what the source material wants us to understand. Think about standard siege warfare back then.
You'd have what? Rams, ladders.
Exactly. You'd have a few options. You could try sapping digging tunnels underneath to collapse a section. You could use a huge battering ram on a gate,
Right.
or you build siege towers to go over the top.
But none of that works here.
How could it? If the wall is that wide, a double wall with maybe rubble fill in between, sapping becomes almost impossible. The foundation is too
You're
massive.
in a battering ram.
You'd be hitting a mountain of stone.
It's useless.
And siege towers. I mean, even if you could build one high enough, you're just delivering your soldiers onto a fortified road where the defenders have chariots.
You're not just climbing a wall, you're attacking an elevated battlefield.
You are. So the strategic conclusion that the sources give us is it's unavoidable. Invading Jericho was considered humanly impossible.
And that's not just poetic language. From a military science perspective of the time, it was a fact. No amount of training, no weapon they had.
Nothing in their arsenal could have dented that fortress. The walls were designed to just mock you, to exhaust you just by existing.
Which, of course, is the whole point of the narrative, isn't it? The challenge has to be impossible by human standards.
It must be. If they could have won through their own grit or cleverness, the lesson is lost. The sources establish this overwhelming obstacle so that the victory can only be credited to something else.
So you have this peak of human engineering, this fortress, and on the other side, Israel has one thing.
A promise.
A promise, delivered in the past tense. That's the conflict. Solid, measurable stone versus an abstract, unseeable guarantee.
And that's the synthesis for this first part. You start with two opposing facts. Fact one, an impossible physical fortress. Fact two, an already completed divine promise. The story is screaming at you from the beginning, don't look for a normal solution here.
A military solution is already off the table. The engineers of Jericho made sure of that.
So if you're a soldier standing there, looking up at that monster of a wall, knowing you have nothing that can break it, that promise is all you've got. If you believe it, the walls are already gone.
But if you trust what your eyes are telling you,
If you move by sight, you are terrified. The impossibility of the task becomes this filter. It forces you to choose between the reality you can see and the promise you were given.
so the stage is set for a strategy that has to bypass strength, because strength was already neutralized by the design of the city itself.
Which brings us to scene two. And this is where things get really, really strange.
This is the part of the story everyone remembers, the bizarre, silent strategy.
Yeah, the sources lay out these instructions that are a complete departure from any military playbook in history.
Complete departure feels like an understatement. It's madness. If you were a military historian, you'd call it insanity. No attacking, no climbing, no breaking down gates,
Marching.
and silence.
The instructions are so precise, almost like a ritual. And you can see they're designed not to have an effect on the wall, but to have an effect on the people carrying them out. It's a test of compliance, not a test of force.
So let's lay out the steps again, because the details are what make it so powerful. First, the main action, march around the city.
Once a day. Simple. Repetitive.
Second, you have to do this for 6 days.
6 days. That establishes the pattern. It demands patience. You're not rushing this. You are being methodical.
Then, on the 7th day, everything changes. The intensity ramps up. You march not once, but 7 times.
A huge escalation of the physical and, the psychological demand.
And finally, the action, the release. Only after that 7th lap on the 7th day are you allowed to do anything. Blow the trumpets and shout. The timing is non-negotiable.
No one gets to shout early because they're frustrated. No one gets to improvise. It's a plan that forces you to delay any kind of satisfying action for an entire week.
I keep trying to put myself in the shoes of one of those soldiers. Imagine the psychological toll of this. You're not fighting the enemy, you're fighting your own doubt.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Day after day, you're walking. Just walking in a circle around a fortress you can't conquer. And every instinct in your body must be screaming at you that this is pointless, this is foolish.
I'd be going crazy. By day 3, I'd be thinking, what are we doing? We're just making ourselves tired. We look ridiculous.
Where's the real plan?
Yeah, when do we actually fight? But the plan doesn't have any of that. It just has more walking.
And this is exactly what the source material is trying to get across. The plan was designed to look foolish from the outside. Think about the enemy watching from the top of those massive walls.
What must they have thought?
Day 1, probably confusion. Day 2, maybe they're a little amused. By day 6, it has to be contempt. They just see this bizarre, silent parade.
Thousands of men wearing themselves out, posing zero threat. It must have been deeply embarrassing.
Which is why the sources make that critical distinction. It says Israel didn't move by sight, they moved by faith. The whole point of the strategy was to force them to trust the unseen promise, even when all the visible evidence said they were engaged in a pointless, humiliating exercise.
And the silence. The requirement for silence for 6 days is just... it's deafening, isn't it? It forces you to sit with your own thoughts, your own impatience.
It does. If they had been shouting war cries from day one, they would have been relying on their own emotion, their own aggression. The silence was a demonstration of control, of complete submission to the weird, detailed plan.
That's radical trust, doing exactly what you're told for a sustained period, even when every fiber of your being says it's wrong.
And it builds. The cumulative effect is so important. 6 days of quiet, steady work, and then this intense burst of repetition on the 7th day. It builds the tension so that when the shout finally comes...
it's not just a random yell, it's this unified, singular explosion of belief. All the silent steps were like loading a spring.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. The repetitive, seemingly illogical action was there to prove that the power wasn't in the walking. The power was in the obedience to the one who told them to walk. It strips away any possibility that human effort was the cause.
The struggle wasn't against the stone. It was against the urge to do something that made more sense.
And that sets up the final scene, where all that internal discipline finally gets an external result.
Okay, scene 3. The climax. The confirmation of faith.
We're day 7. This is it, the culmination of a week of this incredibly disciplined, silent routine. It's all led to this one moment.
And you have to imagine the scene as the sources lay it out. The sun's coming up, the soldiers are exhausted. This is the day they have to march 7 times, which is so much more than any other day.
The rhythm of thousands of feet. But this time, something's different. The priests are getting the trumpets ready. They're not just carrying them anymore. There's this anticipation of sound.
That moment, that shift from silence to sound, that's everything. It's the breath before the command. They've done everything they were told to do exactly as they were told to do it.
They've marched right up to the edge of the miracle.
And then Joshua gives the command, and it's the release. All of that stored up obedience is finally unleashed, but he doesn't say, okay, now attack.
No, he ties it right back to the original promise from day 1.
What does he say?
The command is shout, for the Lord has given you the city.
There it is again.
The past tense.
Has given.
Exactly. The shout isn't the weapon that makes the walls fall. The shout is the celebration, because the promise has already been fulfilled. It's the audible confirmation of their belief.
And the narrative says the result was what?
Immediate.
Immediate and total. The text just moves right into the physical effects. This wasn't a slow crumble. This wasn't a structural failure from, sonic vibrations or something.
This was chaos.
It's described like a geological event. The ground shakes, dust explodes, stone cracks, and then just crumbles.
A violent collapse triggered by a sound.
And we have to emphasize the sheer scale and speed of it. The entire defensive structure, the thing wide enough for chariots to race on, it just ceases to exist. In an instant.
The walls fell completely, immediately, miraculously.
And this reinforces the lesson that our deep dive is focused on, the one from Hebrews. The walls fell by faith, full stop.
Not by tactics, not by endurance, by faith, activated through that week of bizarre obedience. The source material leaves no other explanation on the table. The miracle happened because, as it says, God honored their obedience. It's a clear causal chain in the narrative.
Obedience leads to God's honor, which leads to the miracle.
Right, and human strength is just. It's not a variable in that equation at all. If there had been even a tiny logical reason for the collapse, a weakness in the foundation they spotted on their walks, then they could have taken some credit.
But because the strategy was so passive and so strange, and the result was so absolute and so instant,
the only explanation left within the world of the story is divine power. A power that was just waiting for the signal.
the shout wasn't the force. It was just the signal that they believed. They provided the trust, and the divine provided the power.
And now we get to the lesson, the part where we move from ancient stone walls to the walls we face today.
This is the application point our sources make, and it's where this story becomes really personal for the listener. It explicitly says that not all walls are made of physical stone.
This is the pivot. The story isn't just about history, it's a metaphor. The sources list these specific non-physical walls that can feel just as impossible as Jericho's did.
Let's go through them. The first one listed is fear.
Fear can feel like a fortress, can't it? It can surround you, hem you in, and feel just as solid and impenetrable as a 40-foot wall. It stops you from moving forward.
You can't just knock down a wall of fear with a battering ram.
No. Or anxiety, that constant churning worry. It's like you're forced to march inside your own head, in circles, trapped. The walls of anxiety feel completely real.
And they feel insurmountable because they're built from things that haven't even happened.
Then there's the wall of addiction. A wall built brick by brick with compulsion and habit. It resists sheer willpower. So many people try to attack that wall with force, with strength.
Only to watch it rebuild itself the next day.
And maybe the most relevant one to this story, doubt. Doubt is the wall that would have stopped the Israelites from even starting the march. It's the wall that tells you the plan is stupid and it's not going to work, so why bother?
It prevents you from taking those first small obedient steps.
And finally, things like pain or past mistakes. These are walls made of memory. They can define you, trap you in a story about who you used to be, and block your view of the future.
So this is where we need to talk to you, the listener, directly. Think about your wall, your personal Jericho. Whether it's fear or an old habit or just this crushing anxiety, it feels impossible, right?
It looks just as solid as that fortress did. You can't just logic your way out of it. You can't just muscle your way through it.
And this brings us back to that core paradox. Our instinct is to meet massive force with massive force. We think we need to be stronger than the wall.
But the Jericho story it flips the script entirely. It offers this completely counterintuitive approach.
The central theme is this. You haven't been asked to be strong. You've been asked to trust. The entire burden shifts from your own capacity to your reliance on a different power source.
If you rely on your strength, you're always trying to find a bigger ladder, a stronger ram. It's exhausting. But if you rely on trust, the sickness of the wall becomes irrelevant.
So let's apply the actual Jericho strategy to these internal walls, because the strategy was so specific. Silent, repetitive, delayed obedience.
Take that wall of fear or anxiety. Our gut reaction is either to fight it head on or to run from it. Both are reactions to the wall. The Jericho model suggests something different.
Silent march.
The silent march. Day after day, you walk your lap, even with that massive wall of fear standing right there. What does that look like? It might be the quiet, consistent act of just showing up.
You do the thing you're afraid of doing, but you do it quietly, without a big confrontation.
Exactly. You don't shout at the fear on day one. You don't try to knock it down. You just walk past it. You do your work. You make the call. You write the email. The action isn't forceful. It's just obedient to the goal, repeated over and over again, while the anxiety is still screaming at you.
Okay, what about the wall of addiction? That's fueled by impulse, by the need for an immediate result. The Jericho strategy is the exact opposite of that.
It's all about delayed gratification. So the silent march against addiction isn't some grand, heroic act of willpower one afternoon. It might be the small, boring, repetitive act of making a different choice.
Just for today.
Just for today. It's going to a meeting, making a call, taking a walk instead. It's an action that feels like it's doing nothing to the giant wall of habit on day one, or day two, or day 6.
The soldiers walked for 6 days and saw zero progress. The wall was still there, exactly the same. If you're starting a new obedient routine to break a habit, those first 6 days are going to feel just like that. They'll feel useless.
You'll think, this is ridiculous. This tiny action isn't working. But the strategy demands that you keep walking until day 7. The power is in the accumulation of those small, obedient acts.
So the breakthrough doesn't come from one big burst of force?
It comes through sustained, faithful obedience. Through those small, consistent things you do, even when they feel pointless.
It really redefines the whole battle. The struggle isn't against the wall itself. The real struggle is internal. It's being willing to look foolish for 6 days.
To execute a plan that makes no logical sense, simply because you trust the promise behind it. You have to trust before you see the evidence.
So for those internal walls doubt, anxiety, the solution here isn't a dramatic showdown. It's a small, repetitive, obedient action that proves you believe the victory is already yours. You're just walking the lap to show you're ready for it.
And that, at the end of the day, is the lesson.
So we've reached our synthesis. For you, the listener, let's just lock in the key takeaways from this deep dive.
First, the impossibility of the task.
Yeah.
A fortress so strong that human effort was taken out of the equation from the start.
Second, the absolute strangeness of the strategy. Silent, passive, repetitive marching that defied all military logic.
And third, the result. A result attributed entirely to faith and obedience. The source is crystal clear. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell. The story is built to give the credit nowhere else.
And that brings us to the ultimate power dynamic our sources highlight.
Faith doesn't move walls because we are powerful. It moves walls because He is. The focus is taken completely off of your ability to fight the wall and placed entirely on the power you're trusting in.
So if your wall is fear, the goal isn't to become strong enough to not feel fear. The goal is to trust the promise enough to take the next small, silent, obedient step while you still feel the fear. You don't have to be fearless to walk. You just have to walk.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you to take away from this. We've spent all this time on this idea of a non-conventional strategy, this trust.
Marching silently day after day.
So if the solution to your biggest challenge isn't found in one big push of strength or some brilliant strategy you devise, but in repeating a simple, humble, even seemingly foolish action for a sustained period,
then what small, consistent act of radical trust are you avoiding today? What is your silent march?
that small thing, that daily lap around your own personal wall of anxiety or doubt, the one you do without anyone noticing, without seeing any progress, that might be the only thing required for the climax to happen.
Trust your feet, not your feelings about the wall.
And remember the core assurance of the source material. When God is with you, no wall can stand against you. We hope this deep dive has maybe shifted your perspective on what victory can look like when you're facing the impossible.